This is AZ Audibles. I'm Haley Stasiak here with Eric Sorensen. We are in week 2 action already. We've seen a lot of good high school football here in the first 2 weeks of the season. Let's talk about our week 1 takeaways from what we saw last Friday.
Haley, I was out in Mesa. Dobson was taking on Tucson Pointe. And for the Lancers, they're young, but they're extremely talented. We know about Bijan Robinson, who went absolutely crazy against the Mustangs. Over 300 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in a half.
Oh, wow.
The game was called by lightning at halftime. But the player to watch, the X factor for me for the Lancers, is Mario Padilla. He lines up all over on offense. He had a receiving touchdown. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns. He is a guy to keep your eye on, and that's bad news for the rest of 4A because he's an explosive talent.
I was at Pointe Pinnacle. This was a pretty good one. Spencer Rattler went down early with an ankle injury, #1 quarterback in the nation. But it was no problem for junior quarterback J.D. Johnson. He stepped right up when coach called on him. 218 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. Head coach Dana Zupke said there was no hesitation when they had to go to Johnson. They knew he was going to come in and get the job done. Rattler's ankle injury is nothing too serious. Zupke told me post-game. He said the doctor said it was nothing too serious, just a sprain. But they did suffer another injury. Running back Matt Goodlow went down with a knee injury. No further word post-game on what the extent of that injury is, but looks like he may be out for a little while. We'll find out more later in the week on that.
Yeah, I saw J.D. Johnson earlier in camp, and it's easy to see why he already has some Power 5 offers. He looks the part, certainly.
It was almost like you couldn't even tell when Rattler was replaced by Johnson because he just came in and really hit his stride early. Let's talk about our surprises. Pinnacle is taking on Horizon here in week 2. Horizon is 0-2, two close losses here early
against
to Marana.
2 good teams.
Right,
yep.
Marana week 0, and then Higley in week 1 up at NAU. This is kind of surprising for me only because the running game with Horizon was so much talked about, these linemen, and to get beat, close games, like we said, close games here, but to get beat early like this, 0-2, coming into a tough, continuous stretch here for Horizon.
For me, let's start with the bad news. Arizona high schools against out-of-state teams, 7-11 through the first 2 weeks. 7-11. Chandler lost to Centennial, California in week 0. And then last week, Saguaro really struggled against Liberty out of Henderson, Nevada. The SaberCats offense could do nothing in the second half. They got shut out. And we talk about how good the Arizona high school football product is. So far, not pretty against the out-of-state competition.
It's time now for the AZ Audibles Social Snap. We've got a good one this week.
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton Junior wide receiver Brendan Rice tweeted Notre Dame prep and Texas commit Jake Smith. He said, "Hey, at Jake Smith 27, what's your pregame ritual? Food you eat, workout routine. I'm trying to have 11 touchdowns in 2 games too." To which Jake Smith replied, "A liter of Pedialyte, Cool Blue Gatorade, Sour Patch watermelons, and a Red Bull right before warm-ups." Now, Rice tweeted him back and said, "Bet, I'll exchange the Sour Patch watermelons for tropical Skittles," which I don't completely agree with. I think the watermelons are a much better choice. But we want to be just like Jake Smith too, Brandon. So we've got our Cool Blue Gatorade and our Sour Patch watermelons as well.
Yeah, Haley, these honestly aren't too bad. They definitely they hit the spot, you know.
Pre-game, good
yeah,
pregame.
Good for Jake Smith, too.
That's what we've got for you this week on AZ Audibles. Be sure to tune into the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. and on demand later on sports360az.com. Check out Eric's zone read as well. We will see you next time on AZ Audibles. Give me some of those.